This podcast is brought to you by Flipper, a marketplace to buy and sell websites, stores, and digital real estate. Plot your own path. Become a boss by buying a small online business at Flipper. Simply visit flipper.com/techtalks for a free consultation and 50% off fees. That's FLIPPA, flipper.com/techtalks. If you do visit, let me know how you get on. But now, let's get the show started.
Welcome to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you can learn and be inspired by real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries in a language everyone can understand. Here is your host, Neil C. Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where each day I will try and give you all a much-needed boost of positivity of how you can use technology for good and turn challenges into opportunities. And today's guest is Rafael Sweary, who co-founded a company called WalkMe, which is a leading digital adoption platform. And he co-founded that company to empower business leaders to realise the promise of their technology investment by transforming the user experience in today's overwhelming digital world. And WalkMe has raised over $311 million to date, and that platform is used by 2,000 enterprises across all industries, including 30% of the Fortune 500 companies. So buckle up and hold on tight so I can beam your ears all the way to Tel Aviv so we can speak with Rafael Sweary right now. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little more about who you are and what you do?
Hi, I'm Rafael Sweary. I'm a co-founder and president of WalkMe. WalkMe is a digital adoption platform. Personally, in my life, I am a serial entrepreneur and has always been doing some kind of entrepreneurship, starting from elementary school till this very day.
It sounds like you've been on an incredible journey there, and it started quite early in your life. So can I ask that you tell me more about the story behind WalkMe and the problems that you set out to solve initially with this digital adoption platform?
Yeah, so we started, it started like every good invention from a need. So one of my co-founders' mom was having difficulty transacting on her bank. And he was trying to help her over the phone and walk her through it. And it was very hard to do and very confusing. But he was able to do it. But she called again with the same question. And he said there must be a better way and started looking online for a solution to help his mom. And when he couldn't find it, this is where he came up with the idea of a walkthrough, which is a series of step balloons that take the user step by step on screen as he's doing a process. So you get one set of instructions. Let's say a balloon points into an area that says clicks transfers. Now this balloon will wait for you to click. Once you click transfers, it will take you into the next screen and say, enter the amount you would like here, etc., etc. So this is how we started. And we started selling it to customers that used it for their customer-facing apps, whether it's banks or telcos, all the companies that really that have customer-facing applications or portals. And they saw the results. They saw that their user experience has really increased. And they saw that there was a reduction and a strong impact on the amount of inbound calls they would get, so big call deflection. And then they basically asked us, can you do it for our internal apps as well? So in addition to what, let's say you're a telco company, in addition to helping our customers that want to change their plan or change their billing address, can you actually help our agents in the support center use the different systems that they need to use? And we said, sure. And we built, we expanded our solution there. And then the next thing that we understood is that a lot of the times the processes are not on one system. So as an agent, in order to do one thing, in order to measure one thing, I need to go through a number of systems. And like I can give you like a simple example. Let's assume you call your cable company and you have an issue with watching some premium channel. So the agent needs to identify you, and he's doing it with one system. And then he needs to go into another system, which is the billing system, to see that it's not a problem of you not paying for it. And if he sees that the billing is fine, he's going into a third system to see is there a problem in that specific channel. And if this doesn't work, he goes into a fourth system to try to troubleshoot. And if this doesn't work, he goes into a fifth system to schedule a technician. So we saw that a lot of processes are not confined into one system. And this is where we came and took our process into something that we call a digital adoption platform. That includes basically two sides. One side is how we simplify the end user experience of a technology. So helping the user step by step through doing a process, through automating a process. And the second part is everything that has to do with the internal, with the analytics of understanding and discovering what are the different processes that an employee is doing. Where are the difficulties in those applications? Now, what makes it into a digital adoption platform, and probably the reason why after 4 years, Gartner decided that what WalkMe is doing is a new category and not a training tool and not a self-service tool and not an analytics tool, is the ability to look at insights, actionable insights, action them through the end user experience, and then see the results. And creating a flying wheel that allows you to increase the digital adoption and basically allows you to realize the full potential of the investment you made in technology.
And of course, we started in 2020 full of optimism. We had a new year, a new decade full of opportunities and change. But then halfway in, we now found ourselves on the back end of a global pandemic, economic downturn, and surrounded by uncertainty. So I've got to ask, how has the global pandemic impacted your business this year? And how did you attempt to turn some of those challenges into opportunities?
So we felt the pandemic because we're a global company, and we started feeling it in Asia, obviously. Yeah. So once it got into Europe and the US, we were very prepared. So we actually asked our employees to work from home before it was mandated by the governments in the local places. Another thing that we did is we really shifted a lot of the ways that we are bringing opportunities to us from offline events into online events. So we had to first address the opportunities aspect. Another thing that we looked at is our customer base. Because our customer base is from all industry verticals, some of those verticals are going to be directly impacted by the pandemic. So think about airlines, think about hotel chains, etc. So when we looked at our marketing budgets, we defocused on those verticals and put a higher focus on industries that weren't impacted or we anticipate that we'll spend more, such as governments all over the world. This has been very good for us, and Q2 was a record year. Q2 was a record quarter for us. We overachieved on our targets, and we were, for the first time in company's history, cash flow positive. Having said that, the pandemic is still here, and none of us feeling cheery about what is happening with the economy. So I got to say that it was great, but personally, what I still feel a very, very big ache, and I'm not as happy I would have been if this was under normal situations.
And you guys have also recently released a great report about how we're entering into the next normal. And first of all, kudos for not saying new normal, because it's a phrase I absolutely hate. But can you tell listeners a little bit more about that report?
Yeah, so I think we don't know what the new normal is. I think that we all need to prepare for it. And so I think that things that are very clear is that digital transformation has been accelerated. Okay, I see my parents, for example, using Zoom, which is not something that I anticipated they would do. Okay, I see also my young kids using Zoom, which is also something that I thought they're learning through. And Zoom is just one example. Think about my mother going shopping online. It's not something that I could imagine in the past, right? So digital transformation has definitely been accelerated, and we see it also in organizations. A lot of organizations that weren't open to work from home concept were forced to do it. And I remember that as soon as the pandemic started, trying to get service from companies that were not ready for this was terrible. And a few months later, they got it together, and you're getting better service and people. But initially, it was a full transition, like a complete mess. I can give you like one example if it's of interest.
Sure.
So I had, during the pandemic, like literally a week after, I had to call a finance institution that gives services to WalkMe. I have an account manager, a dedicated account manager there, and I gave him a call to his direct landline number. But this landline didn't answer. It went into a centralized place. The person who answered in the centralized place didn't know the person that I need to reach, because he's not a receptionist. He's just getting all the calls. And then couldn't reach him because there was no internal. And basically he went back and gave me that person's cellular phone number. Okay, so I called this person, it took me, and I get him on the call, and I ask my question. So he says, let me log into the system. And he's opening his VPN, and the VPN doesn't work. Now he doesn't have another phone. So he tells me, hold on, I need to call the technical support to resolve my VPN issue. And he's doing that. And then he's calling me back. I'm in a call. I call him back again. We get a hold of each other. And then I asked him the question. He doesn't remember how to do it in the system. And on and on. Like eventually I got the answer, but something that should have taken 2 minutes took a whole day. Now, when I talk to him today, it doesn't take that long because a lot of the things have been promoted. So I hope this kind of explains. And we see companies really acting in a very speedy way toward learning it. And I think it's also the crisis. I think the crisis affects the employees. The employees are much more open. They're much more engaged during this time.
I completely agree with you. I mean, if we were to go back to December last year, I think there were so many usual articles about the trends for 2020. This is what's going to happen in 2020. But of course, nobody predicted that there would be kids and grandparents using Zoom, and most of the world would be working from home at scale. So it really has just escalated, and nobody saw it coming. But do you have any examples of how you guys are actually empowering business leaders to realize the promise of their technology investment by transforming that user experience in today's overwhelming digital world?
Yeah. So, well, thank you. First of all, because of our insight, we saw a complete different change in how companies use and utilize the digital adoption platform. So because suddenly you need to onboard employees that have never been in the office on one hand, so it becomes much more important. Second, you need an immediate means of communication with all of your users, and you want to use insights to know who read, who didn't read. So it's really important. So we saw a big change and a big peak in our usage. But there is three main areas that I think that companies should focus on when they're thinking about it. It's about, and this is where we help our customers. It's everything about workforce agility. The notion of work from anywhere, whether it's remote, whether it's cafe, whether it's home, etc. And workforce, like a lot of companies had work from home, or that you can you can access from distance, but now we're talking about really working this way when all the team is remote. And sometimes we have new team members that have never worked with their peers. So workforce agility is the first thing. The second thing is really refining your customer journeys. Okay, how would a customer engage? Because in the past, companies really wanted to push self-service, but people preferred to go into the branch if you're a bank. Okay. Now you really need to redefine your customer journey. There is a huge opportunity there for companies. Okay. But you need to make the customer journeys as such that the user experience for the user is very, very good. He doesn't feel that he's forced into doing it, or because of his fear, he has to go through a bad user experience. And then you want the digital journey to happen flawlessly, so it doesn't doesn't impact your employees. So the calls volume into your area is not as big. And I think the third place to focus on is everything that has to do with tech modernization, because we saw and we meet a lot of CIOs that were really reluctant to move to the cloud because they felt that keeping things on premise will keep their company from risk. They now understand that keeping everything on premise right now is actually putting the company at risk. So it's something that everybody is thinking about and everybody is doing. I think another thing that we would see is that everybody has to change their business continuity playbook, because the business continuity playbooks that companies were using were planned for a catastrophe such as 9/11 or a tsunami, not for a pandemic. And it's something that we need to take into an example.
And companies that label digital transformation as nothing but a nice to have, I think they quickly struggled to work from home at scale and learned so many lessons there. And now, of course, it's top of the agenda for businesses in every industry. So in order to thrive in that next normal, what do you think organizations should be thinking about when reinventing their digital strategy?
So I think that you need to start with customer care. So customer care is super important right now. You want it to be flawlessly. You want it to be easy. You want people to be able to do, and basically, let's think about it in a different way. Do your job. You want your customers to do your job. It's easier for them to do your job than trying to call you, get you on the line, etc. The second thing after the customer care is the digital employee experience, because most of the experience that the employee is getting right now from the company is digital. There is no physical aspect. So how easy it is, how much friction do I have using the systems? Okay. What is the effort level using the systems? You want to improve all of this. You want to reduce the effort, reduce the friction, and you want to make it in a way. For example, one of the solutions we give our customers is a way to push to employees that are working for 2 or 3 hours straight on the computer, like a reminder, a pop-up notification that says, stretch out, take your time, and we give them so you need to think about it. You need to think about employee well-being, and you can do that. I think that the next thing is really preparing to an agile and constant change management. Things change every day, okay? Change. The common saying of change is constant is really, you can see it now live. Okay, things are changing daily, processes are changing daily. So we need to look at change as gravity, and we should treat it with how do we handle constant change. It's not about how do we manage change. Like you can't manage gravity. If you are a civil engineer, you're building buildings in a way that they can deal with gravity. It's a known thing. They're also building them for change if there is earthquakes. But what we see now in the change is constant. It's here, and it's something that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. Next thing that they have to focus on is visibility. Who's using what? How often? You can't manage what you can't measure. So you need to measure this digital experience. You need to manage this employee experience. And you want to constantly be improving it. Okay? And it will be improved surely by the fact that employees are doing it a lot. But that's not the only way you want to improve. Long-term improvements will come, long-term competitive advantage will come by utilizing your system better. Another thing that you need to look at, especially if you're a SaaS business or subscription business, is customer churn, because our customers are really impacted by this effect. People's income is shrinking, and this is something that they need to look at as well. So they really need to make sure that their customers are getting the value and see the value, because a lot of customers and a lot of businesses are really looking and reprioritizing and keep looking for places of where to do savings.
I've had countless emails from listeners over the last few weeks talking about their fears and concerns around job security, while also seeing their interest rates on their savings drop considerably. And as a result, many are beginning to look at how they can invest in their future in an uncertain time. Could digital assets be the answer? Now, you might remember that I spoke to Blake Hutchinson, CEO at Flipper, on episode 1194 about how to buy digital assets and websites. In a nutshell, Flipper is a marketplace that you can buy and sell websites, stores, and digital real estate that are just ready to go. So if you do have dreams of running your own successful online business, or perhaps you're looking to exit your existing online business, my friends at Flipper can help you buy and sell. So if you're interested and want to find out more, please visit flipper.com/techtalks. That's FLIPPA.com/techtalks for a free consultation and also 50% off all fees. But now, back to the interview. So WalkMe has gone on to raise over $311 million today, and your digital adoption platform is used by 2,000 enterprises across all industries. But what is incredibly impressive as well is that includes 30% of the Fortune 500 companies out there. But yes, we are in a period of uncertainty, but I've got to ask, what excites you about the road ahead?
So what excites me is actually to see what is happening to digital, because the state of digital is actually much, much better because of COVID. And I think what we see that more and more companies understand that digital adoption is very, very important for their success. And it's a new, and we start to see a new industry that is forming. There is more than 100 people that have in their titles now in LinkedIn digital adoption expert. And these are not WalkMe employees. It's people working for our customers and getting a dedicated tool. Now, we also launched our institute. Our institute is where we teach all the methodology around digital adoption. So starting from the technical aspect through the management consulting of how making an impact, how to do an ROI. And one thing that we did is we opened our institute to everyone to learn, not just to our customers. And what we also did is we were giving scholarships for people that are in furlough to learn this. So instead of paying $5,000 tuition, they get it for free. And we also help them get a job. The only thing we ask them in return is to create a digital adoption platform projects for the benefits of everyone. So that's what we ask them. So, but overall, I'm super excited because I see that we're from a company that developed its own solution. We're now becoming an industry. We see Gartner announcing this as a new category. And you know, it took them time. It took them time, but it's definitely happening.
Fantastic. And something else I try to do on this Daily Tech podcast is bust a few myths and misconceptions around an industry. So what are the biggest myths around digital transformation and digital adoption that maybe you can finally lay to rest today?
I think that one of the biggest thing that I think companies are missing is that when they think about digital transformation, they think about the technical aspects, okay? The technical capability for me to order a checkbook online, the technical capability for me to update an opportunity in the CRM, okay? That's what they're thinking about. What they're missing is the human aspect. So for us as humans, in order to really enjoy digital transformation, we need to see a very good impact and positive impact on our day-to-day. And it's not something that we want to learn. Like an example that I can give you is that using a navigation system was immediate, because as soon as you use a navigation system, you never want to go back to a map. Okay, it's as a user, you immediately understand it and you're immediately able to do it. Imagine that in order to use a navigation system, you would have to take a 20-hour course. And before using a GPS, you would have to prepare your antennas for 30 minutes before each drive, et cetera, et cetera. So you would have the technical capabilities. But by the time you would see value, it takes so long, you would still be using a map. Same thing about somebody using a money machine, an ATM, right? As soon as you used an ATM for the first time, you didn't want to go to the old way of waiting for the bank to open, waiting in line, having to identify yourself, and then waiting for the clerks to go bring the money, put it in an envelope. As soon as you used an ATM, you said, that's a better way of getting cash. And again, if for the ATM you would need to use it, you would need to get training. You would lose it. We need to think what is there for the human. What is the benefit for the human? Not just focus on the technology. The second thing is that I think that people expect technology to work. They think about it as a silver bullet. I buy a technology and it will immediately improve my bottom line. Unfortunately, this is not the case. You need to build buy-in. You need to think about the technology and how it helps your customers, how it helps your employees. It's not going to work on its own. It's not going to sell itself. Okay, there is very, very few technologies that are able to do something like this. That's I think, the biggest myth, if it makes sense.
And we are in a period of uncertainty, but do you have any tips for businesses that are able to and help them find the courage and agility to succeed? Because I think we all know the scale of the problems out there and the challenges ahead, but finding that courage and agility to succeed, that's where we're aiming for now. So are there any tips around that?
Yeah, so it's a huge opportunity to rethink why you're doing things. Okay, so for example, I think the physical office lost its place in history. Okay? Now, it lost it probably 20, 25 years ago when everybody could start having a printer in its home, and everybody could have a PC at home, and everything became digital. Okay? When I used to go to the office with my mom when I was a kid, everybody had to be in the office because everything was physical. The contracts was physical. Typing letters was physical with a typing machine. There was a telex. There was a fax machine. Phones were very expensive. And by the way, at that time, for a full floor, there was one meeting room. That's it, because people were sitting in their rooms working. Now, fast forward, we still acted this way, although everything became digital. And what we started seeing is that there is so many meeting rooms in an office, because the real reason that you came to the office is to kind of meet other people. And I think that when we're thinking about this is, we need to change the paradigm, and we need to use this as an opportunity. So focus on the customer journey, focus on the employee journey, okay? Focus on reinventing how you do your business. Does it still make sense? Does it still make sense to have an office for all the employees? Maybe not. We don't know yet. But focus on all those paradigms that we live in and say, have they changed? Can we look at them a bit differently? And and I think that if we do that, and that's the optimistic part, is that you would find that there is huge opportunities ahead, huge opportunities ahead, and I think that at the end of this, we're going to see an economic boom. So whenever the COVID thing happened, people are going to want to start living again. They'll want to spend again. And prepare yourself for that period.
And I think there's so much value in what you've said today. And I think there's going to be a lot of people listening are going to want to carry the conversation on that we started here. So for those people, what's the best way of finding you online and also contacting your team if they've got any additional questions?
So the best way to reach WalkMe is walkme.com. That's our website. And it's a great place to start and learn about digital adoption and the opportunities there. Regarding me personally, just on LinkedIn, it's a great way. I really like this platform. It really allows to digitize the relationship. And I think that if you use it, this is my personal recommendation to everyone. It really helps me connect with a lot of people, including our employees, because we have 880 employees today. And sometimes, and they're scarce around 10 offices around the world, and actually right now each of them is at home. But that's a great way to sometimes ping and share opinion and show me things that they're working on. So LinkedIn is great and walkme.com is great.
Excellent. Well, there are so many businesses that are genuinely struggling at the moment. And I think the ones that are thriving are the ones that are going to be trying to solve the problems that we're all experiencing at the moment. And what I love about what you're doing here is you're helping companies thrive in that next normal. So organizations need to, and helping those organizations reinvent their digital strategy by encouraging workforce agility, redefining customer journeys, and accelerating tech modernization. And that is so much, there is so much cool stuff in there in what you're doing, and it's solving real problems. So I wish you the best of luck for the future. I'd love to get you on later on in the year, see how that journey's going. But more than anything, just a big thank you for joining me today.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed the conversation, and I look forward to meeting you in person one of those days once this craziness is over. If they visit our London office. Yeah,
absolutely. If they ever allow either of us to fly again, we will make that happen.
Who would have believed? Who would have believed? If I told you this in January, you would think I'm nuts.
I know, it's crazy, absolutely crazy. But we will make it happen, I promise you that.
Correct. Well, thank you, Neil. It was a pleasure.
So with WalkMe's enterprise class guidance, engagement, insights and automation platform, it's employees that are more efficient and productive as a result. And executives have better visibility into digital usage, and organisations can maximise the full value of their digital assets and successfully guide an enterprise through the digital transformation. Sounds incredibly easy, doesn't it? But as I said in the interview, I think organisations need to reinvent their digital strategy by encouraging greater workforce agility and begin redefining those customer journeys for the next normal and accelerate their tech modernisation. And this, for me, is what businesses need to be thinking about. So I cannot thank Rafael enough for talking about how they're attempting to turn these challenges that we're all facing at the moment into opportunities. But I'm also conscious for everyone listening, you've probably got your own ideas, your own journey, your own insights and experiences. So please feel free to share those with me too. And you can do that by emailing me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, and my website is techblogwriter.co.uk. And remember, anyone looking at innovation or trying to embed a culture of innovation out there, my book, Great TED Talks Innovation, is also available on Amazon, and you'll find links to that on my website too. But enough of me rambling on. I'm sure you've had more than enough for one day, especially as there'll be another one waiting in your feed tomorrow. So I'm going to go now. I don't want to outstay my welcome. Nobody wants to be that guy, do they? So thank you for listening. And until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.